All right, going live. I'm going to sit under the ficus tree and take off my double glasses. So I was watching something of Antifa and Brandon Straka. Brandon Straka has this thing called Walk Away Movement. He's a gay hairdresser in New York, kind of a cliche, of course. But he had some sort of wake up and he realized we're fighting things here. And anyway, I was watching him and some guy from Antifa that actually took his mask off and was willing to talk, and watching how polarized they are. You know, fight the whole thing of fighting each other. We're fighting each other all the time. We've been divided and conquered effectively, right? And men versus women, you know, Chinese versus their own Chinese on Taiwan, you know, blacks, whites, racist stuff, gays and lesbians against bisexuals. You know, we're 30,000 different Christian sects, many different Muslim sects, even Buddhists have sects, you know, where they're fighting each other, you know. We met some once in a restaurant up in Sedona. And I said, oh, I met, you know, there's a local Buddhist stupa and they have a retreat here, and they went really serious. Oh, we're not those kind of Buddhists. We're the Mahayana Buddhists, or whatever it is. So the human ego mind is so easily divided and conquered, right? And obviously demon rats versus blood publicans or whatever, right? So whenever something tries to, there's a unification behind it. So right now we are expressing, we're living out. Expressing means to push out. We're living out the battle in our hemispheres. Our brain is in two lobes. It fights the right and the left brain, the upper chakras versus the lower chakras, the spirit versus the flesh, all that. So at this time, that stuff's surfacing, you know. The fighting, the bipolarity, the bipolar human. So if you're finding yourself able to flip, like I was watching that debate with the Antifa, quote, leader, they don't like to even have leaders, right? And Brandon, and they were both adamantly opposed to the other. And I could feel the intent on both sides is to better the world, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And still a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. We turn a blind eye to our side, right? Just like if you drive a Subaru or a Volvo SUV, you're fine in Portland. No one will key your car. But if it's a Hummer, even if it's an electric Hummer, they'll attack and spray paint or whatever because they're not one of us, right? Or Steve Jobs is allowed to have factories in China where several women every week kill themselves by jumping out of the buildings to make Apple iPhones for us, right? Oh, that's okay. We don't look at that if we're on the left. Or if we're on the right, we're like, well, yeah, you know, there's some white supremacy stuff hiding there in the skirts, but you know, whatever, they're good people. So we always look the other way for our side. We have a blind eye. Couldn't possibly be my grandson. Oh no, Johnny would never do that. Okay, right? So this divided and conquered state, that's what's coming to the surface now. It looks terrible, right? All the fighting and I've been joking about, shall we take bets on when there's actual physical fighting in Congress? You know, not just throwing of shoes like they do in Turkey or whatever. When's it going to be actual full-on, you know, like Maxine Waters or go get them whenever they're having food at their restaurants? So all this acrimony, hatred, anger, even if you have a sign that says, love, not hate, love trumps hate. but we're shouting at you, we fucking hate you. Even though you're holding a sign that says love is better than hate, but you're acting in hate. So all this is surfacing now. And it's been very unconscious, so when it first comes out, it's very unconscious. I'm an anti-fascist. My name says so. We're Antifa. But you're acting like fascists. You're covering up, hiding your identity. Sort of like the Mossad or the Stasi or the KGB, the CIA. You're acting just like that. You know, under the cover of dark shit. You're actually hitting people with bike locks. But you can't see that part. We're throwing, what was that guy, the Nago, the journalist, because he's gay and a minority, but it doesn't fit the narrative, or Milo Yiannopoulos or whoever. So they want to shut that down. So this is, my point here is it's surfacing. The bipolar, unconscious, divided and conquered human is surfacing now on Earth. It's actually showing up blatantly. And this is going to give us an awesome opportunity to see through our unconscious, divided and conquered state. Whereas before, it would just act out every 20, 30, 40 years into a world war, right? So it's coming up again, and usually the old cleansing would be, let's just kill a bunch of ourselves and go full-on war. And so we're actually trying not to do that, right? There's something in us that are going, can we get beyond having to, sacrifice 100 million people in a world war in order to get the anger out of us temporarily, and still then it rebuilds, and 30, 40 years later you do another world war. So that's what's going on here in my view. So I could just feel, if we can allow as much as possible, like something happened yesterday with Joy and I. She kind of got short and snippy with me, which I'm like, the old me would be very harsh about, hey, you're not being conscious. But it's like allowing, and I do it all the time, you let stuff come out. It doesn't come out pretty. The unconscious nastiness doesn't come out pretty. But if you can be conscious enough that you're not in denial of it, you're not narcissistic, and realize that part in yourself. I'm full of rage and anger, or fear, which turns into rage, anger. What if we so right now the boiling is happening collectively with demon rats and blood publicans or whatever. I prefer when Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard meet on a place, of, even though she's a Democrat and he probably isn't, they meet on a place where they rationally talk about what would be good for our society. We forget labels. Labels are for jars, not for people. And just, like an obvious one, like Dave Chappelle lately made fun of it in a long bit in Sticks and Stones. He does the whole thing about the LBGT, and he gets the truth of it. And all people are throughout my life, people that are in the gay community that I actually talk to and others, they'll say, well, the gays and the lesbians, they both hate the bisexuals because they just think, and Chappelle does great jokes about that. So every community has to be real, get real to heal with their own bipolarity, subconscious judgments. That's what's coming up. So for all of us, spiritual people they're Buddhists and we're above all that, and Trump is so crass, your shit's going to float to the surface. You trying to hide all that with 40 years of meditation is not going to work. All our hypocrisy will be exposed. So this is a personal Armageddon. We're trying not to do the collective acting out of the Armageddon, meaning full-on world war, Iran, etc., flares up, 100 million people dead, all that. So it's turning maybe into facing ourselves. So when I'm watching Brandon Straka and this guy from Antifa, I can feel both their hearts. They're very good hearts. They're doing what they think is right to help improve the world. But like that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's where the devil's in the details, yeah? So that's where we have to find those parts in ourselves that look the other way when, as Jack Nicholson says in A Few Good Men, I'd prefer you just said thank you for the job that I do,
the dirty work that you don't want to know about in your country clubs, because you can't handle the truth.
Right? Why do we all love that? Because they're doing the dirty work of killing their own soldier in that movie. They have to kill their own weak puppy inside their own ranks. And he gave the order.
Did you give a code red? You're damn right I did.
Right? Watch it again. So we don't want to know the ugly shit that our governments do. But it's all going to have to come to the surface because we're complicit. We're giving them the power. People are afraid of a Tulsi Gabbard, you know, because she's going to, it's too weird. We better just have the demon we're used to. Let's re-elect another Democrats. Or, you know, crazy whatever you think of Trump. So all this bipolarity that's really inside us, the flipping, this is the karmic stuff working itself out at this time. And so my suggestion, and it is for me, it's happening to me. I'm going through major kundalini right now. My head's just acting up right now, telling me you got to stop talking. So if you're interested in the webcast, join us, tobiaslars.com. But it's really just a small group right now of people going through major personal cleanup inside themselves to be able to allow in the real living waters, the real grace, instead of having to fight and be bipolar, cops versus robbers, democrats versus blood publicans, men versus women, you know, vegans versus meat eaters, all the divided and conquered shit. That's not interesting to me anymore. It's a futile, it's a hopeless task because one side oppresses the other and it just flips back and forth, right? Revenge, karmic cycles, not so good. All right, and I suggest you start with the Inner Body Awakening if you don't have it already, innerbodyawakening.com, ancient Shiva technique. All right, much love. So see if any of that made sense. Can we see the part in ourselves that is bipolar, you know? I have a quote, a picture I had someone make where one of my faces is like I'm, you know, like this. The other one I'm like, I'm a meditator. And it says, unless you're spiritually bipolar at this time on earth, you're not on your real healing spiritual path. Try to find your own Jekyll and Hyde inside yourself and try to start merging those and find the unity of oneness. That's why masters don't take sides. God, source, mother, father doesn't take sides. She, he, it is on everyone's side. We're the ones who have been divided and conquered into the knowledge of good and evil. So you personally doing it inside yourself, trust your triggers, that's the biggest thing you can do to help the planet, you know? Instead of taking a side again, how fucking boring is that? You get a little fucking thrill out of, our side won. Yeah, by beating them. How about we stop the beatings? Unless you like being beat, because whatever you put out is going to come back at you. Just a thought. All right, join us on the webcast if you want to. Ciao.